So here's a pretty typical problem regarding a line of best fit or a trend line. What we have here is biologists have observed that the chirping rate of crickets of a certain species appears to be related to the temperature outside. So the table that we have here is showing some data that was collected regarding the chirping rates at various temperatures. So before we do anything with this, let's just make sure that we understand what this data is telling us. So when the temperature is 50 degrees outside, then their chirping rates, it's 20 chirps per minute for a cricket. And as the temperature increases from 55 to 60 to 80 to 90, the chirping rate also increases. So what they want us to do is find and graph a line of regression, or a trend line is what they're asking. So this is a good time for us to use our split screen mode. So I can split screen here, and I can split screen here. And what I have to do in Desmos is I'm going to have to set up a table of values. So I'm going to go to the plus sign. I hit add item, table. And in my table, I'm simply going to type the values that are in the provided table in the problem. Okay, so I've done that. I've typed in the table of values. And now I'm ready to look at Desmos altogether. So let's eliminate this and just call up Desmos. And as I try to find these points on the graph, I'm not seeing these points anywhere. Well, that's because if we look at the numbers start at 50 or 20 and go all the way up to 90 and 211. So I'm going to use my pinchers here to find those data points. So I'm just going to pinch out until I can find those data points, and then I see them right here. Now here's a little known fact about Desmos. If you pinch just on the y-axis, it will just zoom the y-axis. If I pinch just on the x-axis, and you can try this, it will zoom just the x-axis, and then of course I can pinch on the whole screen and it zooms the whole screen. Okay, but now I'm ready to write a linear regression here. So I got my window where I want it, and I'm going to go down here, and we're going to go ahead and type the regression equation, which at this point we know to be y1 squiggle. The squiggle is in the upper left-hand corner under your escape key on your Chromebook. M for slope, x1 plus b. Now we need to use y1 and x1 because if you look at the table of values, the table is not just x and y, the table is x1, y1. So we need to tell Desmos, look at the table of values. And we can see now that we have an equation, and we have a line. So if we want to see the parameters of this equation, don't worry about statistics or residuals at this point in time. Let's look at the parameters, the m and the b. The m value is 4.85, 4.86 if we round, and the b value is negative 220.97. So when I go to write this equation, I'm going to write y equals 4.86x minus 220.97. So we come back over here, and I write y equals, get a little bit darker here, I guess the y was already given to me, y equals 4.86x minus 220.97. There's my equation of the line. That represents, that models this data. Now it says use the linear regression to estimate the chirping rate at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So if I go back to my graph here, I can see on the graph that I don't have a table of values for 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I can do is I can make a prediction. And so I'm going to go to a new line and I'm going to type in x equals 100. So there's the line x equals 100, and I can see that it intersects my trend line at 264.7. We'll call that 265. So I can say when it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the data, according to the model, the predicted chirp rate of the crickets will be 265 chirps per minute.